Hello, everyone. Welcome to another bonus episode of Incoming while we work on season 2, and I assure you we are working on it hard. I am determined to keep pumping out these bonus episodes to keep everybody involved. So we got two things happening today. The second half of today's bonus episode is me and my writing partner, Chris Pahlow, who are having a conversation about, first, the genesis of the whole show, and secondly, some stuff about our first episode, You Beautiful Little Seedlings. But before that, I've got a very special treat for you. As you know, I've been putting out a message to all of you every week. I want to call you and ask you what you would do if the missile was coming right now. And I just had a fantastic conversation with Dan from Alberta, Canada, who was kind enough to give me his phone number. And I called him and I found him in an unusual place. So here we go. Dan from Alberta. Hi, is this Dan?
Yeah, it is.
Dan, this is David. This is David from Incoming. How's it going?
Hi, good yourself.
I'm doing fine, thanks. Happy Halloween.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, hopefully you guys don't suffer the. I've heard down in the States you guys sometimes get kind of like a little mini purge, like mischief night or something.
Nah, overstated. Everything you've heard about this country is vastly distorted. So your phone just buzzed. Ballistic missile inbound. Take shelter immediately. This is not a drill. You probably have about 20 minutes. Where are you right now?
Oh man, where's it going? Is it going to like where I am?
You don't know. You don't know where it's going. Your phone just buzzed.
Yeah, shit. Yeah, shit. Oh man, I'm royally fucked. I I work a piece of equipment. Like I'm an equipment operator, and I am usually like out in the bush. But anywhere that I'm operating something, I am like 30 minutes minimum to an hour away from a pickup.
Wow.
I cannot move in any kind of expeditious fashion.
Okay, so you're just so the listeners know you're in Alberta, Canada, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so you're out in the bush, like in the forest somewhere?
Yeah, like we live west of Edmonton. If anybody knows where Edmonton is, kind of like central Alberta, so we're kind of close in the foothills and the mountains and that kind of stuff. So usually I'm working in the bush. Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised you caught me with cell service right now.
Well, I'm glad I got you. Okay, so you're out somewhere.
Yeah.
So what? You got 20 minutes. You're out in the bush. Your phone kind of works. What are you gonna do with that 20 minutes?
My God, I think I'm gonna have to commit a felony.
Well,
like
jury would
I'm gonna have to steal whatever car I can find.
Okay.
And get out of here, because I'm not gonna make it anywhere. Like I'm in a grader right now, and I'm not gonna make it anywhere in 20 minutes.
Okay, but nonetheless, you want to try to get somewhere. So you're gonna go to some nearby parking lot and break into a car?
Yeah, you know what? Like there's kind of like oil and gas or forestry guys or something. Like I'm going to stop the first vehicle I can find, and I'm going to jump in there.
Okay.
And I'm going to burn my way back home. That's all I can do. Otherwise, I'm dying alone in the middle of bear country.
Nobody wants that. All right. So you get let's say you get a ride. What's the closest place you can get to?
At this point, I mean it's still back to town, but it's like it's even back to town from here is like an hour away.
Okay, well let's strain credulity for a minute. Let's say you can get back to town like an hour away. What's the town you're getting to?
All right, that would be Hinton. Yeah, we live in this nice little mountain town. Yeah, we're about the size of like 10,000, but I mean that's where my family is, wife and kids. They're all there. Like if I had any popsicles chance of of collecting them and trying to make a run for it somewhere, I probably would. But if being realistic, if there's some kind of nuclear warhead coming, and I gotta say, if there's anything coming for this part of the country, then clearly everything else in the country has been annihilated.
Yeah,
already.
something is deeply fucked if that part of the world is being nuked right now.
There's nothing strategic worth nuking out here.
But let's say you got back to your family and like going somewhere is not really a possibility. What are you going to do at home?
I mean, yeah, shoot. if we're just back home, honestly, it's like, and there's no way we're gonna run anywhere. Everything is just pretty far. I mean, we're just gonna kind of make the most of it. I don't know. We like. it sounds kind of lame and kind of a poopy way to go, but we like video games as a family, and it's just to try to keep the kids from freaking out too much. Or I think we would just kind of let them enjoy a little bit of ignorance is bliss kind of thing, and just have a nice moment together. And
Yeah, I don't think that's lame
yeah,
at all. I think that's exactly right. I think part of the conversation that we've been having with the show and with the people who I called the last time I did this is like the idea of
yeah,
doing some grandiose gesture really doesn't meet the moment, but it's like trying to find a thing that is like the most elemental about who you and your people are to do in your last minutes is the thing that everyone sort of goes back to.
yeah. Like I would love to say, oh yeah, we're gonna go get to the hill that's just kind of behind the house, and we're gonna go park our lawn chairs, and we're gonna watch this missile coming in. Like, I would have to say that, but honestly, I don't. That's probably not the last thing I really want to look at.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So I guess it's kind of a generic answer. Everybody's kind of
There's
going for the
no,
family.
no.
Everyone wants
There's
to get to
nothing
what's actually
generic about
important.
it at all. In fact, the idea of you being out in bush country and having to make your way home, you may have just that may be the seed of a new episode of the show. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, if imagination lets me, it grants me a few little liberties here and there, then that's what I'm going to do. But in reality, most of the time, I'm working too far from anything that I could actually do worthwhile. So I'm pretty much fucked, I guess.
Let's leave it there.
Thank you so much, Dan from Alberta, Canada, for being a part of this experiment. Your family would be fine. No one's messing with Alberta. They know better. You want to be on the show? You want to talk to me about this? Send me an email, david@incomingpodcast.com. We'll talk. I'll get your phone number. I'll call you at a random time. It'll freak you out. And then you can go out to thousands of people around the world. All right. Second part of the show, me and Chris Pahlow talking about the origins of Incoming as a show and our first episode, You Beautiful Little Seedlings. Hi, my name's David Singer. I'm the creator of Incoming. I'm here with my friend and writing partner, Chris Pahlow. And we're here to tell you a little bit about episode 1, You Beautiful Little Seedlings. So, Chris, welcome to Crossfire.
David. Now, episode 1, You Beautiful Little Seedlings. I remember reading this, I want to say October 2019, one night in Austin. We just met in a bar of the opening night of the Austin screenwriting competition. And I almost said a really terrible pun I was about to say, and I was blown away. I promise that wasn't intentional, listeners. But I just loved the show so much. And I think I said to you that very night, like, how do I work with you on this show? We got to make this show happen, because I thought it was so cool.
So Chris and I met, as he said, at the Austin Film Festival. We literally met at a cocktail party, and that was 5 years ago. We have spent exactly 2 days in person in the same city ever in our lives, and we've probably spent 5,000 hours on Zoom in the interim talking shit and coming up with ideas. But yes, Seedlings was the first episode of Incoming that I wrote. The whole idea is based on the false alarm missile alert that happened in Hawaii in 2018, where 1.2 million people got an alert on their phones. Ballistic missiles inbound, take shelter, this is not a drill. And it took 38 minutes for them to get the word back out to these people that it was a false alarm. So that was the jumping off point. And the idea is, what would you do if you only had 20 minutes left to live? Were you with your family? Were you at the grocery store? Were you with your secret lover? Were you robbing a bank? You could be absolutely anywhere. So, like most ideas, I let it just sort of like gestate in my head for a while, and I would think about it while I was falling asleep. And I came up with the idea that became Seedlings, which was, what if there was a grifter running a doomsday cult, telling people that the end is nigh, right, like Heaven's Gate or somebody like that, although that guy was a true believer, that Judgment Day was at hand. And then when the alert came through, he would have to answer to all these people who were cheering, hooray, you were right, it's finally happening. And he would have to convince them, this isn't what I was talking about. So that was the jumping off point for the idea. So I wrote this one first. I wrote a few episodes like this. It became, it was originally conceived as a TV show. And then I took it to Austin where I met Chris. And talk a little bit about Austin for a second.
I remember someone else I'd met the day before, like the pre-opening party, was a really strong personality, and I was at this cocktail party, and she was just like, "Hey, I met your competitor," because David and I were both in the final. It's like, let's go over and trash talk him. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. And she dragged me over, and just straight away we could recognize like we're very different. We're from different generations, different parts of the world. But when it comes to our values and I think the way we look at the world, very, very, very similar. And just straight away we're like, this is a person I like a lot and I respect. And I don't know what's going to happen here, but something's going to happen. And it did.
Did you just fucking assert that we're from different generations? I will come to Australia and murder
Sorry, bro.
you. It's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
I
Okay.
meant
Fine.
generations
Fine.
metaphorically. I don't.
Just do me a favor. Don't edit that out. Leave that in.
Sorry,
Yeah.
viewers. I think you just witnessed our writing partnership break up live on the air.
That's right. That was it. So then what happened is this was right before the pandemic, and the pandemic hit, and Chris and I had stayed in touch over Zoom. And I had the idea that if I made this as an audio series, then it was a way to do it and circumvent all of the gatekeepers that keep people like us from making the shows we want to make. And instead of having to raise millions of dollars or convince somebody who was more interested in exploiting some dusty old IP, that I could just talk to my friend Brian at Noise Floor and to Chris and to my friend Marika and to some actors I knew and just try to, put on a big show in the old barn. And that's exactly what we tried to do.
It was such a natural fit for you because you're an amazing director, producer, composer. You have a long history of doing amazing stuff outside of the traditional system. I think when we'd met, I'd already worked on a bunch of narrative podcasts. Our other really great friend, Philip Denson, he was working on his first couple of narrative podcasts. And so it just felt like the right thing. And when you said, hey, I think I'm ready to do this, I was like, hell yeah. But then we had to figure out how do you actually transition it from a visual medium to an audio medium. And this was the first one you tackled, right?
It was. And so the first order of business was to find the perfect Daniel. And so I'm lucky enough to be friends with the immensely talented David Pasquesi. And David Pasquesi is one of those people who has always said yes when I ask him to do these crazy projects. And he's just like the ideal Daniel, right? I mean, those of you in the improv world know David as like the Michael Jordan of
Incredible.
the improv community. You'd know him from Veep or from Lodge 49 or from all these things. And once we had David, the idea sort of seemed to solidify. The other thing was I talked to my old friend Marika Mashburn. I said, hey, I want to do this thing and I want you to help me find a bunch of other talented actors who see the idea of coming into the studio for the day and making something cool as a good use of their time. And it's a testament to how much Marika is respected, that all of those people were so eager to say yes and come do this thing because she vouched for me. And I owe her a lot, but I owe her specifically for that one. Marika brought in a lot of our supporting cast, Jenny M. Hadley, who plays Bridget, and she brought in James Hooton and Colin Quinn Rice and Aditi Chandrasekhar and Tina El Gamal, these incredibly smart and talented people. And I brought in my old friend Anton Fritz to come in and play Tom, the ex-football player. And I like to have my people around me. And Anton is in my my permanent cast of players. So it was a real
Just
thrill.
to dig into what you're saying about working outside of the traditional system, there's no trailers, there's no craft services, there's no huge trucks.
Well, no, there was some craft services because I went to Target on the way there and I bought an assortment of snacks. And Noise Floor as a studio is
I believe
actually
you.
a little posh. They drank out of glass
Magnificent.
glasses. No plastic cups for my people.
I guess what I'm trying to say
Glasses.
is it's a production like this is really about bringing a community together and people really just wanting to get stuck in and be part of it, not because they're getting paid thousands and thousands or millions of dollars, just because they believe in the project. And I think people like you, David, and Marika and Brian, just bring them together to create something great.
Well, it's a Chicago ethos, and it's sort of a punk rock ethos. And I've found that at the various weird junctures in what I hesitate to call my career, that every time I went toward making something rather than asking permission to make something, I was all the better for it. And so that was sort of our compass for this is let's make the thing we want to make and figure out the rest of it later. Oh, a special shout out to Chicago's Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, who gave me a grant that gave me a little bit of money, which made it possible for the first few episodes of this show to get made. So thank you, D-Case. Good looking out.
Before we wrap up, let's talk about tone, because when you talked about lying awake at night in bed, thinking about this idea, like there's inherent irony to a grifter who's been talking shit about an oncoming apocalypse actually being faced by that. And I think a lot of people might see the marketing for the show and think, oh, this is a straight up comedy. Like, it's right now, I think it's trending in the comedy fiction charts for podcasts. Who knew such a thing existed? But there it is. But I think across the season, there's lots of different tones. And even within this episode, there's sadness and tragedy in little bits as well as straight up comedy, right?
I think that's absolutely right. But I sort of found the premise to be funny. One of the things that was particularly freeing about doing whatever we wanted to do is that it left us free to experiment with things like tone. So some of them are funny and some of them are scary and some of them are sad and some of them are just odd. And it allowed us to take risks with structure or take risks with production style. So episode 3, What's Wrong With Me, is basically completely improvised from a script that Chris and I outlined together. And so it's been very freeing for us to use this show as a way to experiment in a bunch of different permutations of this one idea. But this one's funny. There you go. Me and the homie Chris Pahlow talking about Incoming and talking about You Beautiful Little Seedlings. That's our bonus episode for this week. I promise we're working hard on season 2. You're going to freak out when you hear how good it is. In the meantime, hit us up anytime, David at incomingpodcast.com. We are so truly grateful for your comments, for your likes, for your telling other people about the show, which is hugely important to us. There's a new development, which is that our show is now finally on YouTube. Apparently a lot of people listen to podcasts on YouTube, like most people. This is not a thing that I knew about, but we are late to the game, but enthusiastically so. You can find all of our shit on YouTube. I'll put a link up on incomingpodcast.com, but it's under the name of my company, which is called Past Tense Future Perfect. I'm sure that if you do like 50 Google searches and scroll through a bunch of weird influencer videos, you can find us on YouTube, and then you can tell your grandma, who definitely watches podcasts on YouTube. If you want to be part of the experiment where I call you and say a missile's coming, email me, please, David at incomingpodcast.com. I hope you're well. I'll talk to you soon.